Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I got up early and started doing some more research. This, the whole thing's so sad. The whole thing's so sad. So we're gonna get straight on into it. You were listening to what on Rotten Mango's channel? I know she did one. The dogs are snorting, so shh. You know, they gotta snort. They gotta make it crazy in here, right? I have lots of static. Hold on. Hold on. How does it sound now? Any better? I don't know why it's using that one. Weird. Yeah, Mangoes is good. Logitech. How's that? Let me listen to it myself because I know there's a delay, so. Morning! Let's see here. Oh, my YouTube just updated. That's interesting. Okay. All right, testing. Static. Ooh, I hate how that sounds. Okay, give me a second. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, I just connected the Yeti. Let's see how this sounds. Bum bum bum. I don't love that either, but here we are. Mom Bear, it sounds like shit. This might be a bit better. We shall see. Let me get closer here. Move that. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 20. Yeah, it's everything around me that does, right? Fucking dogs. Get out. Bastards. I had the stereo audio off, and I had echo cancellation off, so I don't know if that helps. We are just trying a couple of things. That sounds better. Okay. All right. We're going to test out how it's going to sound when I mute and I play the first video. So what we're going to do here is go back in time to before everything got crazy.
Yes. Huh? Singing contest. Record a video of yourself singing a song or two, and the best vocal singer wins 2,000 subscribers, as well as a shout out in my next video. This contest free for submissions. I think that's a typo. The winner might also be reviewed by YouTube's best singer, Dave Days. Contest ends Sunday, January 23rd, 2011. Send submissions to youtube.com/freakshow180. And good luck to you. Also subscribe, please. It means everything. Happy singing. 2,000 subscribers, shout out my next video, and possible review by Dave Days. Why not? Something different. Well, I don't know if guitar is mandatory or not, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Ow! Motherfucker. Well, this will be interesting. Okay, camera's all set up. Lighting, everything. Okay, whoever you are, I'm going to play 2 songs for you. They're all created by myself. And prepare to be amazed. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2. Ow! Fuck! Oh, I just clipped my hip bone really bad. Down by the river, always by the sea, I fucking suck ass! Won't you come play with me? That's not part of the song, I just fucked up. Down by the river, down by the sea, won't you come play with me? I like to fuck dolls, I like to eat pussy, I like to fuck up! A 1, 2. Down by the river, always by the sea, I like girls, won't you fuck me? Please fuck my ass, I wanna fuck my fingers! Always by the river, always down by the sea, I want to pinch my finger again! Get it together or you're not gonna win, okay, fucking pansy? Ha! Fuck! Ha! Please won't you accept me into your heart? I wanna fuck you right from the start. I wanted to fuck you right from the start. Fucking dick! Fuck! Fucking God!
Okay. A sweet boy with a nasty mouth, yes. So, that was when he had started this YouTube channel. His name is Randy or Andrew or Randy, you know. A lot of what he does is all by himself. So he's all by himself doing all of these things, setting up his cameras and all this crazy stuff. So you'll see that was like a parody video. It's like a it's just a mess. But let me show you this one. There's a lot here, so just be patient. You'll see.
Get more noticed on YouTube, and I thought I'd make a video addressing this and how it's helped for me and try to help other people out there get their videos noticed. Now, I am no means like really popular on YouTube. I have 8,000 subscribers, but it's not really a lot. But I'll just share my tips and tricks that's helped me get this far. First thing is you gotta make a YouTube channel. Once you've done that, great. With this new Google Plus feature and everything, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But once you make a YouTube channel, you're on your way there. Now the next thing is you gotta figure out what type of style of videos you want to do. Now my videos are just crazy over the top type of humor sometimes, and sometimes they're more serious type of videos. Like just what type of videos are you interested in doing? Are you interested in doing skits? Do you want to do reviews? Do you want to do gaming type of videos? Let's plays, which are very popular now. It's just what type of style of video do you want to do? Once you have that down, good, you're on your way there. Now if you're doing a gaming channel, don't just point a camera at the TV and record game footage. You gotta go out and buy a game capture like an Elgato capture, which is what I have. Just something to make it more professional looking, because people are not gonna wanna watch and subscribe to you if you're using a fucking potato camera. And even I am guilty of doing this. In a couple of my videos, I've just pointed the camera at the screen and just shot it that way. And then I started taking things more seriously and I bought an Elgato Game Capture HD, which has been phenomenal. Because you're gonna get a shitload of bad comments of people saying, what kind of fucking potato did you use to record this footage with? You get a lot of dislikes, and right off the bat your channel is in deep trouble because no one's gonna want to watch you if you're just pointing a camera at a fucking TV. Also, if you're doing Let's Plays, get a mic to use instead of just the computer mic, because that's not gonna sound well, it's gonna be distorted and everything. I use my Canon T2i for the microphone for my Let's Plays, which is a whole lot better than just using a computer mic. So it's little subtle things like that that can improve your videos. Also, if you're doing gaming videos, get a screen recorder. It just makes it so much better than just watching a video with like unregistered HyperCam 2 in the corner and it's all pixelated and shit. Now I use ScreenFlow, which is
No! Not a knocked over Coke can! It'll stain the carpet! Huh? It's a picture of me! They must admire me or something. They even left a fan letter. Such nice people. Even though they did wreck the place. I don't care if a burglar did trash this house. They left a picture of me and a fan letter. They're off the hook. But now I have to fucking clean it up. How many times have I said fuck today? Fuck! I know what you're thinking. It couldn't have gotten any worse than that, right? Well, it did. Ow! Fuck! Today was the worst Halloween ever! Ow! Fuck!
Okay. So he's very much like a nerdy, goofy ADHD kid. Nothing too, graphic or violent or anything like that. Yeah.
So good at
Hold on.
I love me some Fruit Loops. What? Some douchebag left paper in my box! Goddamn kids today. Treasure map? Well, on the front of the box it doesn't say there's a treasure map inside. I must be special! Find ye treasure. Just follow these 10 steps and win a prize. Well, all I have to do is follow these 10 steps and I win a prize. What could the prize be? You're a young guy. A new tie? Money with cowboy tickets inside? A new Cowboys blanket? Wait a minute. This isn't a Snuggie! God damn it! A new chew toy? So many possibilities. Thanks to my lucky Rugrats watch, I'll pass this with flying colors. Okay, well the first one says, get snow globe ball to land on T. Oh, that'll be a cinch. I do that all the time. Okay. Damn. 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 Fuck. Shit. Ass. Bitch. Whore. cunt, piss ass motherfucker! Ah! Ah! God, say fucking T! God! Yes! I got you! Yeah! God, that was worse than the time when I forgot how to sit down. That just happened this morning. Give your dog a Fruit Loop. This is too easy. Okay, Bruno, you ready? Good boy! High five! Yeah, here you go. Okay, the next one is... Have your shorts fall down! Now I'm drawing the line, now that's going too far! Ah! God! That was more embarrassing than the time when I thought it was a fish!
Hi there, little fishies. What are you guys doing?
Okay. Your nerves can't take it. Yeah, well, a lot of this is just, I heard, yeah, I saw Fupa Cheese got it. Yep, I did see that. Absolutely crazy. So this was in a time where people like, do you remember the content Shane Dawson used to make? And you had Onision. You had a bunch of people just trying to be funny, and then it was like they would just rage out of nowhere. It would be so completely weird. Yeah, like the Vine days, just such strange content that it just didn't make any sense. None of it was funny. It was that kind of dry, stupid humor that was so obvious. It was terrible, in my opinion. I hated it. So there's a lot of these. There's a ton of these types of videos where he's just trying to make content. You know, he was putting up content constantly. Then we end up getting into a whole different realm here. So give me just a second here. Yeah, Shani was 5150'd, and then they did shut down the house. There is a board on it, and it says condemned, which I really didn't think was going to happen, but it did. It did. So these are his journals. Let's see how far back. We have a lot of journals in here. That's the wiki. That's not what I was looking for. This is 2017. You gotta do it this way to get them, which is weird. 2017. Okay. So this is one of them, one of his journals. And he says, I have no regrets for what I may do or what I have done. I am who I am, and no fucking human shit can take that away from me. I'm an EGS recruit. You're worthless fucking humans. One day you'll see things my way, especially when our ghost squad invades your pathetic, putrid planet and become our slaves for the rest of your lives. I will not stop, and I will not change. I win, not cower. I won, fight for the squad, and do what I've set out to do. I'm Andrew fucking Blaze. We were going over this last night, Tater. So what we're watching is this kid who started out just doing YouTube channel. He wanted to be famous on YouTube. He would draw a lot and do all kinds of, weird, crazy videos that, trying to get attention, just like kids of that age would do. And it ended up becoming very, very, very bad, what ended up happening. So I'm going to bring you guys over to his tapes. And these are really, really difficult to watch. But I wanted to show you a little bit of who he was before all of this started. He was just a goofy ass kid, really. I mean, that's really all he was. He wasn't violent or anything. He was just being, at that time, a 14, 15-year-old. I bet the parents thought he was going to grow out of this too. And unfortunately, he never did. So let me show you these here. All right, here we go. So this is where things start getting extremely serious. Behind him is Embers Ghost Squad here. Okay, he designed all of them. He made cartoons. They were a rock band back here, all of these girls. And I'll let you tell him, yeah, Patty, let's keep it so that we're going through the story together.
Right now with you thinking, I'm watching him right now and he's dead, Today's April 4th, 2017, and I have just over 5 months to live. It's looking like September 7th is going to be the night rather, and here I am, recording on video for one of the last times. And I thought I'd sit here today and talk about EGS while I can, to answer some questions that will probably forever go unanswered if I don't do it now. So yeah, I just thought I would sit here and talk for an hour or so on video instead of the audio recordings, because you won't get to see me anymore. And this will be one of the last visuals you'll have of me, I don't post my face on social media much anymore because this isn't who I am, I'm Andrew Blaze. I'm not this here, I'm that. I'm not this, I can't emphasize that enough. And over the last few years, I just hated looking at myself, and it's because it's not me, I didn't just wake up one day and realize that this is who I am, It just didn't happen like that. It gradually happened over time, over a span of around, I would say, 7 to 8 years. As for how EGS got started, it goes back to middle school, where I used to do Timmy Turner and Danny Phantom lookalike comic drawings in my school notebooks. Back in middle school, you had to get these books to read, which were called accelerated reader books, and you would take tests on them. So they were books that were on a level high enough to, test your mental reading ability, I guess. And you would get points for it and all that, but you only had to read 2 a quarter. I say only loosely, it's a lot to read, but when I wasn't reading, I would doodle. And I had no idea that this would eventually lead to EGS, 10 years later. It was never a thought. And it's just crazy. It was 6 to 7 years after that, boom, I was drawing cartoons in Flash. At the time, when I was going into 9th grade, I had a stack of papers that was literally almost higher than this viewfinder can go. It was huge, and I burned them all because I was an idiot, but it was just taking up space in my closet, so I'm like, I need to get rid of stuff. So I burned my comics, which I really wish I didn't do, but it's what happens. You get rid of stuff throughout your life, and it's gone forever. That's that. But you hold on to it in your mind. It's never truly gone forever. But either way, when I got into ninth grade, that's when I started getting into YouTube. And I've made a whole documentary talking about my Pioneers Productions channel and all that. So you can watch that if you want in your spare time. It's also included in these zip files that you're watching now, called the Pioneers Productions Anthology, which covers pretty much everything from 2008 all the way through midway through 2014. And obviously you have other making of videos that I made since then, which could have just been added onto the anthology, but unfortunately I don't have the Project XML file anymore because I never knew you could do that until a year and a half ago. So all my projects that I've edited in Final Cut are gone forever. I can never get them back. And unfortunately the anthology was one of them. So, a 90-minute documentary, gone. So the mastered file is what it is. So what you have with these zip files is the official mastered file. It's DVD quality. It's lossless quality almost. So it's the best you can get. Anyways, watch that if you'd like to learn more about my videos from 2008 to 2014 and, etc. So in 2015 was when I started doing the EGS stuff in terms of just doing cartoons. But it was a long haul just to get to that point. One of the biggest questions probably is, how did EGS even start? And it goes back to those doodles I mentioned. That was the very, very start of it. But it can even go back farther beyond that. It just depends how you look at it. Because throughout my entire life, I always envisioned the afterlife as being this magical place where you can do like whatever you wanted and be whoever you wanted and, just be happy and be around things that you like and not have to worry about any bullshit that you deal here on Earth. And, pretty much since you're a kid, you think about things once in a while, not all the time, but you think from time to time, what is it like to die? It's a question you ask yourself throughout your entire life. What is it like to die? And, depending who you're surrounded by, you more likely than not will deal with a relative passing away, who's obviously most likely going to be anywhere between the ages of 50 and 80 plus, So when I was a kid, I dealt with some deaths, but they were just with people who I didn't know much. When I'm like 6 to 9 years old and, a great aunt passes away, it's like I didn't really know who they were. So it wasn't really sad, but still I felt the feels, from the funeral and the viewings and all that. But I didn't really see a dead body until middle school. It took that long. I would like to say it was 2005 was the first time I saw a dead corpse. And it just stuck with me. Just that the thought of just being gone, you're not in this body anymore. Your soul's gone. I made a recording the other day talking about, it was like a week ago, talking about, what I think the meaning of life is and saying everyone has a soul and all this. And, you can listen to that. I won't repeat everything, but, it's weird just thinking like that's just an empty body. There's no soul in it. There's no life in it. It's dead, and it's like, where did they go? Where did the soul go? And, people have their own beliefs on everything. And it's just, that's what it will be for you in the end. What you believe, what your faith is, that's where you're going to end up. If you're a Christian, Catholic Christian, if you're Methodist, if you're Lutheran, if you're Muslim or something, it doesn't matter what it is. That's what your afterlife is going to be. So it's like your mind saying that this is where I was and these are who my leaders are on the other side. And I'm here to accomplish something. And I was sent here from them. I was assigned a contract saying this is what was going to be expected of me and this is what was going to happen and this is how I'm going to die. Okay? So, 2005 was the first pretty much death that I saw, that I deal with, that I actually got to see the corpse because my great aunt passed away before, and it was actually, that's who, it was his mother, who died the year before that, but there was no viewing. I don't remember why, but there just wasn't one. But she was the first death that I actually legit dealt with, but I didn't know her much. But yeah, I was at the funeral, and I got teary-eyed because you're singing all these prayer songs and everything, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, and it stuck with me to this day. I still remember that song, but I can't remember all the words. But it stuck with me. Okay, and the following year in 2005, her son died, and that was the first body I saw. The following year in 2006, my grandfather died, and that was the first death that just touched close to home for me, even though I spent my entire childhood around my grandmother instead of my grandfather. It made me realize, like, what you have. You know, you realize what you have, and sometimes you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And when he died, it was like the first time I ever saw like someone like being unconscious or being in a coma and dealing with cancer and stuff like that, which, you know, he died in his house. He had this big bed in the living room, and he was just hooked up to these machines and everything, and was just breathing like really heavily, and he was just unconscious. And it just happened like that. You know, one day he was talking and everything, and then the next day he was gone. It was St. Patrick's Day when he died, and I'll never forget it. I was at home watching Fairly Odd Parents, and it was very idle. I remember that episode. And I just remember watching that, and then my grandmother called and said that my parents better get down there because obviously he didn't have a lot of time left. And sure enough, he passed away that night, and my dad obviously was very depressed after that. Totally changed him for a while, and honestly, it probably still affects him today. I don't know, because I fucking hate his guts and I want him to fucking die. But it was just the first death that really struck close to home like that for me.
Well, that took a left very quickly. So Andrew does prefer to be called her or she. I keep calling him he, so my apologies for that. But he's gonna explain why when he gets into the issues with his parents, and he also does 2 videos for his parents. So we'll see those too. But yeah, if you are struggling with mental health, please seek help. This is just it's a tragic story, you know. Some of us have sons or nephew or brother, and it's just horrible what ends up happening. The whole thing just really hit me in a way that a lot of stories don't, because you see him just as this goofy kid, and then it just turns extremely tragic. Yep. Drawing inspired by Danny Phantom. Yep. That's exactly where it came from. And she created a whole band. And it was awesome. Really awesome. The talent that she had, even back then when there weren't tons of tools available to do all of this animation at home the way that she ends up doing it, it was quite surprising. Like, wow, you did all of this. This is crazy. So I'll let you keep watching.
And I got through it all. The funeral, I really came close to really bawling, but I held it in. And my dad said he was proud of me for dealing with all this very well and all that. But, you know, it's just something you shouldn't have to deal with when you're that young. But, yeah, so that was the very start of, like, me thinking about death occasionally, I'd like to say. Because that was in 7th grade. You know, 7th grade, you're like 12 or 11 or something. You're still really young. And you got your whole life ahead of you. You don't think about dying. You know, it's like, I can do anything. I want to be this, or I'm going to try to be this. And you're just planning out your life. You're not thinking you're going to die. And as middle school pressed on, I wanted to die. I didn't want to go to high school. I just kept picturing myself trying to take my life somehow. But I knew I wasn't going to go through with it. There's no way. You're not likely to kill yourself when you're 11. I mean, it doesn't happen that often like you'd expect. But, you know, I eventually got through high school. But high school is where everything began. The seed got planted in 7th grade. It started to grow underground in high school, but it was out of high school when it started to bloom. Ninth grade wasn't too bad. Once I got into high school and got into the routine of it all and adjusted to it, I was okay. I'm like, high school's not that bad. Still, I didn't want to be in school anymore. I wanted to drop out terribly, but I knew nobody would let me do it, and I had to get a high school degree. So I got through ninth grade without really any trouble. I mean, obviously I started learning the responsibility of studying and doing well on your tests and everything, because this is when it really starts to count, when you're going to start looking at colleges and you're going to be looking at your grades and everything. And I just had no clue what I wanted to do. I mean, I loved the video camera and everything, but I'm still tossing back and forth in my head what it was I really wanted to do. And, over the years, that started to creep back into my mind. But 10th grade and 11th grade were the big speed bumps in my life, because this is when I started doing bad on tests. The exams, the tests, the quizzes. I got poor grades, and these tests had to be signed by my parents, so I couldn't just lie and say I was doing okay. I had D's, I had C's, I was borderline failing classes, and it was a really bad time for me in high school. I had to get tutored for my math class because I failed the first half of it. I never, ever, up till that point in 10th grade, failed a class. Fortunately, the class is split in half, so between the first two marking periods, so a semester in college terms, and I had a 64% for the first half. That's an F. The second half, I had a 74, which the second half was a lot easier compared to the first half, but I say the tutoring helped a little bit, but still, that still made me feel extremely pressured. Now it's like, great, well, now if I keep doing bad, what's going to happen? And then every fucking test that comes up, you have the fear of failure. And I just started going in those darker places. I see like all these people, in movies or on TV shows and everything, and it's like, why can't I be these people right now? Why can't I have why can I not take tests? Why can't I just get out of school? I just don't want to do this anymore. I'm looking at people on social media that are in college now. It's like, well, these people already went through this and they're done with it and they never have to do it again. I just wish I could just throw everything out the window and just stop, and throughout the rest of the year, it was still borderline C's and D's. I didn't get really any A's in 10th grade. It was a really rough year. And this was during the time when something started to change with me, which is also when you start going through puberty and stuff. And I had a very high voice throughout most of my life. And in 10th, I would say the very end of 10th grade is when it finally started to get a little deeper. But what was also weird was I found myself wearing women's clothing from my mom's closet. And I just loved it. And I couldn't explain the feeling. It just felt like right in a way. It's very hard to explain, but it wasn't like I was gay, because I knew I didn't like guys. I never was attracted to guys. I was always attracted to girls in high school. I would always be looking at their legs or at their chest, at their hair, at their eyes, at their crotch, what you do as a guy. But I always just envisioned myself being one of them, and I was just never, as like my high school years went on, I just felt more and more lost. Like I had no clue what I was, but I knew flat out that I wasn't gay. I fucking hate guys. I hate the facial hair they have. I hate their crotches. I hate the way their body structure is. I hate them being really muscular and jacked. I just always hated guys. I was never into guys. They just disgust me. They really do. Honestly, guys are just the most disgusting thing on this planet. And I just was thinking, I was like, well, what the hell am I? And I didn't really research what genders people could be and all this stuff. And it was just, I didn't know what I was, but I just kept going back to girls and wanting to wear women's clothing. I mean, it wasn't like a transvestite thing where you're a guy fantasizing about being a woman and just wearing the clothes and all that. It was much deeper than that. And it wasn't until once I got out of college that I really started to realize who I was. It took a long time. It took me all the way through grade school, through college to even realize this. So, people out there who are struggling and trying to figure out who they are, you'll eventually discover it. It just might not happen right away. Some people discover it at a very young age. It's like, I was always great at doing this. I was always great at playing instruments. I was always great at building things or wood shop. Or, I was always great at fixing things. Or I was always great at, helping people. I was always great at lifting heavy things and all this, and you could put two and two together, and then you start realizing, hey, I could be a craftsman or a construction worker or a firefighter or a computer technician, all this stuff that you do throughout your life. You might just realize right then and there what your talent is, and this is what your life's going to be, and you never ever really look back. For me, it was a million different things mixed into one, and that was a problem because I had no fucking clue what I wanted to do with my life. Because in middle school was when it really started to get like legit into thought of what I wanted to do, and I was always great at writing stuff. I loved to write. Back when you actually didn't have to use laptops and computers for everything, we would write our essays on paper. We would write stories on paper for writing class, like a narrative story and all that. And I just loved writing. And one thing that always stood out to me was all of my stories, almost all of them, would end with the person dying at the end. So that's a little bit of a red flag right there for everyone in the future trying to prevent people from killing themselves. You might want to take a few notes on that. But that's where the writing started. And in middle school, I also was walking around with the video camera as well. So, the two had to become one. And obviously, I was very fond of the computer. So it was in middle school where that started. And I must have wrote like 4 or 5 stories where the character got killed at the end. And I actually turned these in as assignments. And I never got like any like weird looks from the teacher or anything. She was a nice teacher and everything, really great, but she never like felt concerned about that. I guess she just figured, oh, an overactive imagination. He's a middle schooler, so what? It's better than writing shit, So yeah, like one story was about a kid who was exploring space. The synopsis was you had to write a story about a guy who woke up, or a girl who woke up, just got out of his chair and opened his bedroom door and saw something on the other side. So what I wrote was he opened the door and saw the solar system because I was fascinated with space. I loved the planets. I loved the stars and all that. I still do. It still fascinates me. But I just wrote it so he opened his door and saw the entire galaxy and solar system outside his bedroom door. He hopped on a spaceship and then started visiting every single planet. So this story turned out to be like 10 pages long. So I think I got deducted points for that. But I had to, I described exactly every single planet, how it was, because I was obsessed with the planets and solar system in middle school. So I got overly descriptive with stuff. And in the very end, after he got to Pluto, he started going back to Earth. And then he burned up on re-entry like the space shuttle Columbia. So, little inspiration there. So, yeah.
It should be a red flag, you would think, right? But in listening to him, you can feel clearly there's something wrong. And he describes himself, and he also knows the things that he's writing and how things end, that it's wrong. That somebody should be noticing, but nobody is. Nobody is stopping and saying, wait a minute, why are all of your characters dying in this story? This is a nice story, and then they die in the end. And maybe, teachers are overworked and they have too many kids in there. I don't know. But, he writes 10 pages instead of maybe they wanted 3. And he gets points deducted. It's, I don't know. It's such a hard thing because he's telling us all of this on these tapes, but the tapes aren't released until after his death. Right. I think they were, Kimber, I do. I think that somehow he was trying to say, hey, help. But was he telling people? Was he talking to people? He will get into it a little bit more on the things that he believes were cries for help that nobody paid attention to.
Teacher never felt concerned or anything. I just remember not getting any feedback in terms of that. So I don't know what she was thinking, but yeah, and it wasn't just writing assignments. I would just write in general. I would write 10-page stories, if that, just in a notebook, which is long gone. I don't have it now. But it would just always really end. It would always usually end with the guy dying at the end. So being a writer was a thought. And I just envisioned myself writing stories, which it didn't last too long. By the time I got to high school, I was into the video camera. And it was all about, filming for news stations or documentaries or something. But I had no idea, but I just wanted to do movies. That's what I knew I wanted to do. But I never pictured me actually being able to do it. And it was in the back of my mind, I should just get something with a degree with something you could do with a video camera. So 11th grade starts, and that's when the darkness started to creep into my life a little bit more. Yeah, it was there with the fear of failure and tests and all that, but this is when it started to grow a little bit more. In 11th grade was when they start pressuring you in school through your guidance counselors to start planning for college and looking at colleges and all this. And this is when I really started to just hate everything about school. I didn't want to go to school anymore. I didn't want to try on the tests anymore. I didn't study like I used to, and my grades were obviously affected by that. I remember getting some bad history grades, science grades, obviously. That was one area I always struggled in, was history, science, and math, which is, the bulk of your education. But, school, I never felt like school was ever, I never felt like school was ever for me. The more I went, the more I just stopped caring. And I just flat out didn't care about school. I did enough to get by. You'd have some concern on the side of that from the teachers and all that, but I did enough to get by, to be average, But it was obviously affecting my parents, and they were lecturing me constantly about how important it is to get good grades and being able to get a decent job and all this, and it just kept getting darker in my head. This is when I started getting into Ember. And this was way back when that low-quality version was still all you had. It wasn't until 2014 when that HD version finally surfaced on the internet. So this was back around 2009, 2010. And the summer of 2010 was when the Ember thing started. So I just remember, it was just something about how she looked. Like, we all say, we all kind of matured a little when we first saw her, but it was just, it just looked familiar. And at the time, Danny Phantom had been around for, a good 6 years. So I kind of remember vaguely seeing that character back in 2006. But it felt like so much more at home for me now. It just seemed like so much more than just being familiar with her. And it's just very hard to explain. I just could not stop playing the track. I just played the living hell out of that song. And I just kept envisioning setting myself on fire. And it's what I really considered doing. My parents went away for a cruise. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it then. I'll set myself on fire by pouring gasoline on me and lighting a match. Which I'm really glad I never did, because that's not going to really kill you. It's just going to leave you badly burned for the rest of your life and beyond repair. So I want to know how many people actually killed themselves by just pouring gasoline on them and setting themselves on fire. It's really not likely to kill you. But it's just, that was around the time I got a job too. And, that's one thing I also didn't really mention, is all the stress of trying to find a part-time job and not wanting to work and all that. And it got much worse later down the road. But at that time, I got hired at McDonald's after trying 20 places, because I wasn't even 18 yet. So some places you need to be 18. After trying 15 to 20 places, McDonald's was the only one that called, and I applied there twice. So I did the basic training for 3 hours on the first day, and then I quit, which devastated my parents. My dad was just furious. My mom took it better than he did, but I just couldn't even look at him after that. And that's when the hatred for him started. It was from pretty much that day forth. It goes back to the 10th grade high school grades situation. That's when that first legit started, but the job thing just, capped it off. But yeah, so it was just, everything around me was just dark, and that's when he started lecturing me, you have no friends, you don't hang out with anybody, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything, you just sit in your room on the computer all damn day, and that's all you do. And inside I'm thinking, this is what I like to do. You know, this is who I am. If you don't like it, fuck off. And of course I didn't say anything like that. I just was just laying on my bed and he was sitting on the chair here and just giving me a big 15-minute lecture. You know, the lights were dimmed in here and it was just that typical parenting shit that you hate as a teenager. And from that point forward, I never looked at him the same way again. I hated his guts. I tried being nice around him, but, you know, he'd be moody with his job. And it just, from that point forward, I just hated his fucking guts. And it only got worse from then on. Yet he probably sees me as not thinking much of him nowadays, but he'd probably be shocked hearing what I'm saying about him now. But my brother connected with him well. That filled that void. I connected with my mother well. So the relationships in the house just became me and mom, Jeremy dad. That's what it was. Because my mom, I always felt like I could tell anything. My dad, I couldn't. I couldn't talk to him about stuff. He just wasn't that type of person to me. My mom was, and you always had that, you know, the mother-daughter or the mother-son connection. But it's just my mother was so much more understanding, so much easier to talk with, and wouldn't freak out on you if you did something really bad. Like, it just like you'd get through it. She was just easier to talk with. And my dad, it was just like talking to a fucking mentor or like a high school counselor or like a fucking boss, and it just wasn't right. And honestly, I can't tell you like the last time I really like gave him my 2 cents on things, or like how I'm feeling, or why I'm doing what I'm doing, or just like why I am how I am. I never did. I never got into a conversation about that. Like, there'd be times where me and my brother and dad would be around the bonfire in the backyard drinking beer or whatever, and we'd kind of get into like weird talks, but I never got into that with myself just because I didn't give a shit, because I knew he wasn't gonna be able to help me in any way, because he would just see it as me just being a depressed teenager or, you know, young adult like I am now, and would just try to steer me in the right direction for my life and get me to move out of the house and hold a stable job and all this. And all the while I'm thinking back in 2013, 2012, that I'm going to be killing myself in a few years. I knew pretty much back in 2012 that in a few years I would be dead. And I just didn't know how many years it would be. 2014 was like intended to be the last big year for me on YouTube, and it was when you look at it, because I made so many videos saying I'm probably only going to be doing YouTube videos for at least another year or so. That was me nonchalantly saying I'm going to be dead shortly after that. And 2017, it seemed like way out there. Like, I thought by 2016 I would have been dead. I didn't think there was any way I was going to still be alive, and that's why I started putting all these death references in my videos in 2014, and 2013 it started to get darker, and it just slowly started to decline from the comedy and go into the darker stuff. 2013, by the end of it, was when it just took off. The Figure in Black series was going to be the next big thing with my channel at that time, which was all going to be based on paranormal, demonic stuff. It was all going to be dark content, you know? So by the end of summer, that was it. Comedy was done. I was just done with that. So yeah, I got that my dad wanted me to be successful, but I just was never meant to be on this earth longer than 20 some years. It's just, that's how it is. That's how it was written up. That's just how it is. Tough shit. And, you know, you have that thought process throughout your mind, all throughout your life. It's like, you know, I'm going to be dead in a few years. It really doesn't matter what I do. You know, sure, I can get a job, but for what purpose? You know, in a couple years, I'll be dead. And, you know, 11th grade was when I really had to start being a little bit more open and vocal, because that's when they start pressuring you for colleges and everything, and you need to be vocal and express your interest in things and what you don't like and where you want to go and what you're comfortable with and just where you want to go with your life. And that's what I really hated. I always kept everything inside. but I would just, creatively turn that into my YouTube stuff, It really shows if you watch my older YouTube stuff. The old 2008 to 2010 stuff was really stuff made without a care in the world. There wasn't anything weighing me down. Even the first video I made that referenced me having a job, which I think was Fuck the World or Fuck Life. I changed the title a couple times. But I'm like, I got employed! Shit! But I still was like carefree about it all. It didn't seem to really bother me too much. And it was in 2013 that everything tanked, which I'll get to soon. It's all EGS related. Everything I'm telling you is EGS related. It's just everything happened during this time span. So from 11th through 12th grade, that's when the darkness of the world was setting in, that, you're going to be out of this high school in a couple years, and then eventually a couple months, and then a few weeks, and then you're graduated and you're done. And then that real world shit creeps into your life, and it's like, what am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to go? And I just kept pushing it back and back and back and back. So I kept like avoiding it, because my first year of college was all general studies classes. I went to Luzerne County Community College to save money, and I just took my general core classes there for a year. And I used that as an excuse to be like, all right, well, by the end of that, I should know what I'm going to do. And the general idea was take my core classes there and then transfer to a university like Bloomsburg University or Misericordia to take my major classes, when in reality it didn't matter, because LCC, Luzerne County Community College, had a decent broadcast program, which is what I ended up doing. So I took it at LCC. So I stayed at that campus for the next 2 years until I was done. So, I went to college for 3 years. And that was the only thing I can think to do, because, like I'm saying, I knew full well I was going to be dead. And that's just what made the most sense. And all the while I'm thinking, I'm going to be dead in a few years. It doesn't matter what I do. I don't necessarily have to use the degree for anything, but it just made the most sense. It was close to home, it was like a 20-minute drive. It was shooting stuff on video and writing scripts and all this and stuff that I was good at and that I was familiar with, so I took the broadcast program. And I made a whole other recording talking about all the shit that happened with the people I got stuck working with or the instructors I've had. And it's just, it all contributed to EGS. Matt Murray died, Tom Lynch died. That really was the first, glimpse into the Ghost Squad stuff. If you look back, 2013 was when I got word that Matt died. It was January of 2013. 2 months after that, in March, was when I got into Ember and never got out of her. March 2013 was when I made the Black Ops 2 emblem of Ember McLean for Xbox, and I ended up using it everywhere from then on out. There were these silhouette arts that I made where you can't see the face, but you can see the border of the hair and the face and the body, and that ended up being the recruiter ghosts. And at the time, I had no idea. So before you knew it, Ember was appearing everywhere on my YouTube channel, Pioneers Productions. It was the profile picture, it was in the end screen, it was on my Twitter, on my Facebook, in my gaming videos. She was everywhere. And it didn't really make too many people question why, which I don't know why. It took a while, but then once I started showing her in the EGS Prologue series, that's when things started to be questioned by people. But 2013 was the ultimate staple in EGS. This was when all this stuff happened to me in about a 4-month span of time. I can't remember exactly everything that happened, but 2013, I'm always superstitious about the number 13. I never liked the number 13. I always felt it was unlucky, and I was superstitious about it, okay? And what happens? Second week of January 2013, got word that Matt died. About 10 days after that, my great-grandfather died, okay? About a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, I totaled my car. 10 days after I totaled my car, my brother totaled his car. $7,400 some dollars between both cars of damage. So that was a lot in that amount of span. On top of that, the well pump in our yard broke, and about 6 feet of our yard collapsed and caved in, and we were flooding our basement. That was like mid-January 2013. So all of that happened within a few months, and there were quite a few other little stupid, subtle things that happened. I can't remember everything, but just one thing kept leading to another, to another, to another, and to another. And in March was when I got into Ember, and then it just felt more than familiar. That's all I can say. I just kept looking at her, and it's like she got it. She understood me. I understood her. We had feelings for each other, and it was way more than just a simple connection. It was life-changing. And this is just a static 2D flattened image on a screen, you know? And I went into a zone that I had never really been in before. Nothing seemed to matter. It was just like a magical dark place. And it was a dark place. It wasn't happy sunshine rainbow stuff. It was a dark and depressing place. And Ember I felt like I could trust her. I felt like we had known each other before. And I just felt like I could have been her in a way. It's very hard to explain. But even just like her body type, all that just felt familiar. And that got me. She was one of the original reasons I got into cross-dressing back in early high school, was when I would occasionally look up Ember McLean, Remember, on YouTube or on Butch Hartman's website, you know. And just looking at how she looked and everything, and it made me want to dress up like her. But of course I don't have anything remotely close to that. But I ended up going into my mom's closet and putting on her bras or her tops or her jeans or whatever, and just wearing girl clothes. And it just felt right. And it all goes back to Ember in a way. And just like that black top, you know, my mom had a bra that looked somewhat similar to that, and I would put it on, and I would, you know, like look in the mirror and pretend I was singing into a microphone or playing the guitar, you know. And my skin was really, really pale white, so it looked somewhat close to Ember. And that's where that all started. Ember started that whole shebang for me, pretty much. And that carried its way all the way into late college, with wearing my mom's clothes once in a while. I eventually bought my own stuff. So once I had a credit card and everything and could buy online, that's when I started shopping through American Eagle and Aerie, whatever it's called, and started buying stuff from there. Not a shitload, but enough. And that's what you ended up seeing in videos like Abyss, or the picture of me sitting on the bed next to the Ember poster. The Andrew Blaze Prologue Series reboot attempt video that ultimately just got turned into a compilation between me and Rachel on the EGS channel later down the road. But it's all thanks to Ember. So I would just listen to that song constantly on repeat and just begging to hear the HD version of that song, because that song it's worse than bootleg quality almost. It is downright bad, the way that mix sounds. It is literally as if someone held like a cell phone up to a computer speaker and recorded it. It's really bad. So that thought of longing to have the HD version of the song also made me want to continue to live, you know, because I wanted to hear it. But Ember just all it took was one look at her. Just one look. Even if it was just a glance, it took one look. That's all it took. And I was hooked. So my interest in school just tanked. In 2013, I could not care less about school. There was so many classes that I just skipped. You know, I still ended up passing pretty much everything. But, you know, I had my fair share of classes I had to repeat that were the general studies classes before that. But in 2013, I was into my major classes, so there really weren't any general studies classes left to take. So all I was really taking were my majors, and I passed all those with at least a C or higher. So, but just all the while when I'm in there, I'm just thinking about death and dying and ghosts and just not wanting to be here anymore. So the very first time I ever used Ember in any video had to be the gaming videos that I used to do. I used to make gaming compilations back in 2013 on a channel called Pioneers Gaming or Pioneers Horror. I ended up changing the name because I was rejected for ad revenue sharing or something. Can't really remember. But so I would use her at the end of the video for the end screen. You know, gaming channels always have these big fancy end screens and everything, so I would use Ember, and I had like the silhouettes, the recruiters, pan across the screen at the end, and I would have a song playing and all that, and I ended up using her in every single video, and it kept getting used more and more and more throughout my YouTube career. And I started using her so much that people started to question my fascination with her, and they just didn't get it. You had people I played with, like David and Damien, Make Me Bad 35. You know, David would always constantly bust me about her and saying, you know, she's like my waifu and all that. And I didn't care. It didn't bother me, really. But all the while, I'm still trying to figure out who I am. And that's when people started poking fun at me for being gay a lot, just in a joking manner. They didn't really legit mean it on Xbox, but like Alicia, who was Damien's girlfriend at the time, would always kind of bust me about that. David would all the time, which I still think he's gay. I don't know for sure, but something tells me he is, and he just doesn't want to admit that. But, you know, that was constantly there. And it got to the point where I didn't think that they really liked me at all. But then I'm like, well, why do they keep asking me to play Xbox with them? Which turns out they did like me. They actually cared about me and all that. So, but it was something that kind of bugged me after a while because people saw me as being gay. And it's like, yeah, you don't have a girlfriend, and, you know, you don't really talk about sex much, or, you know, you say you don't really watch porn, which I kind of find impossible, which at the time I'm like, I don't watch pornography. I don't look up sex tapes or anything like that because I never did. And because David's like a big, massive porn addict, he could tell you anything about porn that you'd want, pretty much. And you could name any kind of porn that you'd want. There's a porn for everything and everything, all that, you know. And I always hated when they would get into that kind of subject. I always hated talking about penises or vaginas or sex or pornography and what turns me on. And, you know, eventually the one night we all started talking about our first time that we masturbated, which was hilarious. It just became a regular thing, almost like every other Wednesday when they would go to their bowling leagues. I would dress up like that, and it was either doing that or filming a YouTube video. It really wasn't anything else. And yeah, so I was always uncomfortable talking about that kind of stuff, and I'm obviously not going to say, oh, well, you know, when I'm alone, I wear girl clothes. You know, you don't do that. That would make them question you even more. So whenever that kind of stuff would come up, I would just kind of try to ignore it, or I would mute them or whatever. But Damien never did that to me. It was always David or Hobo or Alicia or Alicia's brother Mike, you know, or Mike's friends. And yeah, I always hated that area. And also, these people are all older than me. I was the baby of the group. I was 20, borderline 21, which is still decent. You know, by then everyone's pretty much had sex by then, mostly. And they're all in college, out of college, 23, 24, 25, even 26, you know. They're all well older than I am. And it's just, I hated talking about that stuff. And still do, honestly. But at this point in my life, what does it matter? It doesn't. But it was just, Ember was my girl. Ember was my crush. It's who I wanted to be with for my life, pretty much. And yeah, I mean, I would occasionally always look at not occasionally, I'd always look at girls when I was at college or at high school, and just visualizing being them, you know. But there was never a girl that I met that was like, I'd kill to date her, I'd kill to fuck her, or, you know, I just never had that desire to be in a relationship, which always made people like question why I wasn't dating anybody. Like my mom especially be like, how come you don't, there's no girls that you like or all this. And that eventually led to, in like 2016, asking if I was gay, which it took that long. But it got so desperate for her in a way that they set me up. They tried to set me up with a girl at a wedding back in 2015 when I filmed one of my friends. It was a family friend's daughter's wedding, which I barely remember even agreeing to do, which I wish I honestly never did it in the first place. But there was a girl there who was like, she's so fucking nerdy, very quiet, and she's like, oh, they'll be perfect for you and all this. And they tried to set me up, and it pissed me off. Really did. That's not how you do that. It's just, you shouldn't do things like that to people. And also just expecting it to work. It just, I wanted to fucking crucify them for that. And I talked with her for like, I didn't talk with her at all, actually. The guy who was the father of the girl getting wed, brought me over to her and just kind of said, I have a mission for you and all this, and this is a girl who's like interested in videos too and all this, and I think maybe you should talk and all this. And I didn't really realize that that's what they were doing to me. I'm like, well, yeah, but my brother actually knows more about the technical aspects of the video camera and all this, just like completely clueless to what they were trying to do to me. And then in the end, when I started walking back to the table, I just like turned to my mom and said like, you're a fucking asshole or something. Like I don't remember exactly what I said, but she thought it was funny. I didn't think it was that funny. It's like, jeez, like they're really desperate for me to find a girl I like, to go to that extreme to set me up at a wedding. It's like, what the fuck? So that never ended up happening, but it's even on the fucking video, the wedding footage somewhere, saying, that girl's still over there. I forget her name, but he was hinting at me, she's still over there, and I'm like, fucking go away. So I didn't want to cause a scene at his daughter's wedding. This is a once in a lifetime chance and all this. So I just acted like it was no big deal, but I was fucking enraged. It pissed me off. So yeah, I'm like, this is just how I am. I'm fine being alone. That's always what I would just say. I'm like, I'm not into relationships. I don't care to be in a relationship. Like on my live streams, sitting right here at the computer, that's what I would tell people. I'd be like, you have a girlfriend? I'm like, no. Are you gay? No. I'm like, I just don't like relationships, really. Never dated anybody, never wanted to, and people just couldn't buy that. And yeah, I remember the first time hearing in like late middle school that people were dating, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like it just didn't seem right to me. And even in high school, you hear people like, okay, they're together, or they were fucking the other night, or they're in a relationship, they're dating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't care. And then I started feeling pressured throughout high school, like maybe I do need to date somebody, but I never did. Never went on a single date in my life. 24 and a half years almost on this earth, never been on a date, which some people probably are like pulling their hair out thinking, why? But yeah, it was never there. And it's because I'm not from this world. You have different attractions and you have different goals and different objectives, and being in a relationship was just never one of them. So I was asked out once, maybe twice, but it was the same girl. But I was asked out once, and it was really lame how she did it. This was a girl that I hung out with at school, not off school, but at school in third grade at recess all the fucking time. We would try to find four-leaf clovers on the knoll over there, the grassy knoll and all this, and we just hang out on the playground and just talk. And she kind of told me about sex back in third grade, and she was the first person to ever tell me about that. And I couldn't exactly remember everything she said, but I just kind of was like, okay, it's really weird. And she would kind of talk about like, girls are more flexible than guys. That's why I can do stuff like this and like arch my back all the way and bring my head all the way under and all this and do cartwheels. And I still like tried like doing cartwheels in early elementary school because I thought they were cool. I liked doing cartwheels. I never was able to do them properly. But yeah, so this girl in, I think, midway through 11th grade, asked me out. It was 10th or 11th, I can't remember, but it was just before like Thanksgiving break. She just walked up to me in lunch and then just put down like a sticky note or a paper or something, like I guess a folded up paper, and she wrote on it, and like, I know we don't talk very much, or I can't remember exactly what she said. I don't want to make a lie out of it, but something like, I know we don't talk very much, but I've always liked you, and would you ever consider dating me? If not, it's okay, or something. But yeah, just throwing myself out there, And I obviously never dated her, but I don't even know if I like said anything back after that. But she could have just asked me. But yeah, it's just, I'm like, no, because for one, I didn't like how she looked. Just was not my type of a girl at all. And obviously by now, you know what my type of girl is, and it's Mackenzie. So, but yeah, it never would have worked. And I think she ended up dating one of like the big rednecks in my grade. So, yeah.
So you might be wondering who Rachel and Mackenzie are. Because he goes back and forth. I know he's kind of all over the place, but let me just show you. I'll show you Rachel first. Let's see. Okay, so you've got Mackenzie first. This is Mackenzie. This is Rachel. These are the ones he made. Here's Froggy. This is Celeste. There. Harmony. Harpies. They attack their victims with talons. I don't know about all of that. Here's Ember. Again, he did not create Ember. Ember was created by the person who created Fairly Odd Parents, that show. But then it just took off into whatever this is that she's doing here. So that's them. He did not make Ember. He made a recreation of Ember. So Ember comes from Butch. Butch created her. He's also the creator of Fairly Odd Parents, that I don't know if you guys even remember what Fairly Odd Parents is, but Fairly Odd Parents. There we go. Here we go. So there's Fairly Odd Parents. So the creator of this created Ember. And then he saw Ember and just basically thought Ember was like a kindred spirit, like a soulmate, but then thought they were almost one person, just so you understand. Yeah, from the Danny Phantom, yes. So it just became something he was obsessed with. Andrew Andrew. um, and you can see her, back here. And then the other characters that Andrew created. So.
Yeah. It's a big what if, but I'm glad I never did it. I think the last time I ever saw her was the graduation lock-in, because that's when they were doing the hypnosis thing, and she was in the video, which is funny. So she's in one of my videos preserved for all time now. But yeah, I never dated. So this all ties into EGS in a way, because it's all just the deep, dark depths of the abyss of my mind. And just not giving a fuck about the world anymore. Once I got through college, I didn't want to get a job. I didn't want to get a career. I just didn't want to have anything to do with this fucking world anymore. And all I cared about was Ember. All I cared about was death, ghosts, funerals, graves, dark music, horror music, that's all I really cared about at that time. And obviously Send Request helped me get out of that zone a little bit with their pop punk music. But I was just in the darkest places I've ever been in my life, and I've never gotten out of that, nor do I want to. But I was still trying to figure out what my purpose was, and in a way I felt like I had achieved that purpose. It's like maybe I was just sent here to make videos and then learn from my mistakes maybe a little bit and learn to overcome bad things in my life and help make a difference for people through my YouTube content, showing that you can do anything. And in a way that is part of it, showing that you can do anything. Look what I've managed to accomplish in 9 years of doing content. You can do anything you want if you put the time and you have the passion and dedication to do it. And I felt like that was really it. And to this day, I still feel, in terms of dealing with people, that was really all I was really meant to do, because it's one of those typical stories of the nobody or the nerd in school making it big on the internet, which I was never really big, but it got to the point where if I went to Make Me Bad's live shows, people would recognize me, so that was cool. But then it was also, you get some backlash for that. People would be like, oh yeah, you're the guy who has the man crush on Damien, which wasn't true. But it's just something you got to deal with when you do like 3 collabs, and obviously people get jealous of you, and obviously they get like over obsessive over you because Damien, even though I only knew him through the internet. But yeah, I just wanted to make a difference with people and to show that you can do whatever you wanted. But then I started to realize what more I could do with that. I can show the world a whole new perspective on life with EGS later down the road. It's what I realized. But I just started hiding stuff in my videos. I started hiding stuff in my videos because I wanted to show how I was really feeling without really like just straight out coming out saying this is how I feel. And if you noticed in 2014, that's when everything turned dark. You had Amnesia Rape, which in a way was my fear of gay people in a way, or the fear of being accused as being gay or just being raped by someone who's gay. I called it Amnesia Rape, and the whole focus of it was the gay whale finally having his way with me. I was tied to a chair and couldn't move, and he was fucking my ass. And it was just one way of saying that. But it was dark. It was the first like legit like dark disturbing video I'd ever done quite like that. And that led to the Search for Remember, which was a big insight into how I was feeling. Like I'm just laying around, all the shots are depressing, black and white shots. The life looks like it was drained out of me in a few shots. And I was going to kill myself. That was like one of the first foreshadowings of killing myself. There was one before that in the Crazy Christmas Maniac video where there was a gun that I was holding and I tripped and shot myself in the head on accident. And that's how the video ended. There were obviously times in the past where I pretended to kill myself for things, which I didn't actually like really mean it back then as like symbolizing things. But around the time of the Crazy Christmas Maniac, that's when I was legit serious about ending my life within the next few years. And that's when you started getting darker stuff in there. You started seeing guns. You started seeing Ember, So the whole Search for Remember video was just basically saying, I'm at the end of the line. We're never going to find this song. There's not much more point in me living on anyways. There's not much more I can do. And that was also during the time where I was like making videos saying, I don't see what more I can really do. I think in a year I'll be done. That was about, I'd say, like 9 months after I made a video like that. And Search for Remember was really lucky because, in a way, it wasn't really lucky because I just think it was destiny. It was part of the contract I signed that the track would surface and then that would lead to everything that it has now. It wasn't just like a big stroke of luck. It was meant to happen. And then you eventually saw, a lot of you probably know, or although probably a lot of you don't know, is I'm also Worthless Toaster on YouTube. That is the channel that has the Ember video that has the most views and has the most discussions and everything. And it got over 1.5 million views in a couple of years. As of April 4th, 2017, that has pretty much 1.6 million views. It's the most viewed Ember video on the internet. It's what everybody goes to when they look up Remember, pretty much. And that's the video that took off. And somebody also uploaded a version that day that the song was found like an hour after I did. I was the first one to upload it, but people started reposting and mirroring the song, just downloading the track and uploading it as their own and all that. But mine was actually a music video. But it wasn't the greatest edit of all time or anything, but it was still cool because I've been making that edit for years throughout this whole Ember thing, like in 2013 and all that. I made a bunch of different music videos for that song with the low quality track. And then I uploaded that on Worthless Toaster, and then it just took off. I could not believe it, but at the same time, I knew it would happen. This was a song that people died for years, and out views. It didn't go viral right away. And I don't consider it to be a viral video because viral is like something that happens like over a span of a few days or so, and you get like 100,000 some views. It was like 20,000 at the end of the first week, so that's not technically viral. Worthless Toaster, all you saw on there were Ember videos. Pioneers Productions, Ember was in every video since The Search for Remember. It technically counts. That was actually the Ember McLean DVD footage from the episode. The Ember that was in Extinction, Resurrection, Absolution wasn't Ember McLean. It was a recruit. I just called her Ember Flores at the time. But it was, little did I know, foreshadowing Mackenzie in a way. That's pretty much how that came to be in my mind. But at the time, I just said it was Ember because that's what she looked like. She looked exactly like Ember McLean, you know? That's who it was, but it wasn't. But Extinction was the first time you saw that Black Ops 2 model in a video. It was at the very end, and that was like the big, you know, twist in it all. And everything from Amnesia Rape on throughout that entire year. Amnesia Rape was in January 2014. That and every video from that point forward was dark. Yeah, Search for Remember was comedic at times, but it was still dark themed when you think about it. Extinction followed The Search for Remember, which was pretty much the most psychotic I'd ever been on film before. I'm stabbing the frog and whale and killing them, then I tore the tendon in my finger, which led to 3 surgeries, and it's still permanently stuck like this. And, you know, she was in Resurrection, which was completely dark from start to finish, like Extinction was. Absolution was pretty much just a feels video, but it was dark. But all these videos were dark, and it's all Ember related. It was what led to the start of the EGS channel. They all had something to offer in a way. Amnesia Rape was the comedic humor. Search for Remember was a combination of comedic humor and dark content. Extinction was just flat out dark. Resurrection was story as well as dark content. And Absolution brought the whole series full circle. And it gave you the feels through it all. But all these were all dark and really well written when you think about it. That's when I started really using my writing skills, was for that series, which I originally called it the EGS Prologue series. I eventually renamed it to the Pioneers Productions Finale series. So the Finale series was what I consider to be pretty much my best written work until the EGS tape stuff started. That's when I think that my writing took off, and you know, everything was much more surreal and closer to home feeling for people. So the EGS Prologue series, I still consider it my best work on film, but nowadays I don't consider it really my best work, but in a way it is. Nothing's really come close to that. I mean, yeah, it's me talking to an image of a character model that can barely move, but it just gave you a full insight into my mind at that time, whether you realized it or not. You know, Resurrection, I'm talking about ending it all, killing myself. It'd make me happier. I'd be a ghost like you, and I'd find true happiness, you know? That dark scene in the car, that still sticks with me. And I did that scene so many times. I reshot it once, and I must have done like 30 takes for that. It was ridiculous. But those videos, when you pull them apart slowly, one by one, you start to get into my mind and see what I was feeling at that time and what I wanted to say to the world. You know, I'm going to kill myself in a few years, you know, and just feeling lost, no direction, no idea where I was going to go with my life. It was all in those videos. So once the EGS Prologue series wrapped up, that was intended to be the end. Absolution was meant to be the last big video. And then I got the idea to do maybe one more because I felt like it was a shitty way to end it. You know, I just shot myself in the head and that was it. And I'm like, that's really weak, you know, to go out like that. So the next video I ended up writing ended up being Curtain Call and Welcome to the Squad. It was a double episode, and that was the first official EGS video. That's when EGS technically started. It was in 2015, and I was well out of my league with animation at that time. I thought I could pull off everything and I could crank it out within like a couple months and it would look cool. And I started to realize this is a long process. So, yeah. Welcome to the Squad was where I started throwing in all the EGS related stuff. I started talking in voiceover about what the Squad is about, what they look for, what it's like in that world, and how hard it is to be in the Ghost Squad. You know, like
This video here, even though it's, we have 20 minutes left, but it's a long video. I played this to give you an insight into who Andrew was, really, how all of this began. But this is extremely mild compared to what we're going to get into. And I know this is tragic and it's horrible, but it gets very complicated and terrible. Yes, I remember Dolly Davis. My friend John Crimes did a video on her, and it was heartbreaking. So terrible. This is it's sad, and some of these pieces are graphic, but it gets very, very dark.
they train you, you go through all these things. You don't just get recruited and exist. You live for the rest of your eternal existence in this world of trying to dominate the world in this army of ghosts and discovering who you actually truly are. And this was around the time where I did start to discover that. That's when you started to have the Andrew Blaze character start out. And Andrew Blaze was myself from the prologue series. The finale series, it was meant to be the same character, but throughout the prologue series, I'm called Randy, which is my legal born name, which I fucking hate. And in 2015 was when I called myself Andrew. And it wasn't until a year later that I started to take it seriously, because 2015 into late 2016 was when I discovered who I was. It took that long, It wasn't just an overnight thing. So in reality, it took between 2005 through 2016. It took a long time to discover who I was. And EGS just started from all that dark stuff. I just sat down and just lost myself. There's no really other way to put it. I just loved being in that zone. I loved thinking about death, dying, envisioning killing myself, killing other people, just being free from this world and not having a care in the world, to exist in peace and just acceptance and accepting who I was and having people not give a shit, just being happy. And I couldn't do that in this body. It just wasn't possible. It wasn't meant to be. And it's where I felt at home. And I later learned that it's where my home is. This has been my home for 24 years, but it's time for me to move on to the next level. Or rather, move back to where I was. At first, I thought that that's where I was destined to go. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that that's where I was before I was here. I was already there. I'm just sent here on a mission, So it took a lot of time to discover myself. It wasn't just an overnight thing. And nobody on earth sees it my way, because I can't tell you that stuff about me, because then you'll start getting concerned, and then my parents could find out, and then I could end up in a mental ward, And I'm not mentally insane. I'm not psychotic. I'm just me. I'm Andrew Blaze. That's who I am. And it's been insanely hard to not post on social media that these are the last 5 months you'll have to talk with me, 5 months from now, I'll be dead. And then all these people who have watched me will have regrets or have questions that might have never been answered, you know, and just wanting to talk to me again or not being able to accept that I'm gone. And it's just going to happen like that. I'll be here and then I'll be gone. And I don't know. Some people I will feel sorry for, you know, like people like Nellie Simmons. I feel sorry for her because she felt like she could tell me anything, really. As for me with her, I feel like I could tell her pretty much anything except this, you know. And Damien, obviously, I've felt even a bigger connection with now because he's into darker stuff now. His videos really changed with his style, and he makes a lot of like death references in his videos now, or taking his life and everything. And I think he will eventually kill himself one day. I think he will. Or if not, my death will help him steer clear of that path. Who knows? But I can picture him taking his own life within the next like 7 years. I could see it happening. I couldn't way back then. Nowadays, yeah, I could. Because in a way, I feel like he's kind of like me, where he's just lost. He has no direction. He doesn't know where he's going to go. And he just doesn't see any way out of it. And especially now with YouTube, like losing ad revenue and everything, he's not getting enough views like he used to. And eventually he probably won't be able to live off of that. And he's probably just in a whole other world right now. So who knows? I mean, I doubt he'll ever watch this from start to finish, but you never know. I've been wrong about things before. But it's just all that over the last few years of my life, just that teenage stress. It was just so much more than just that. I just never felt like I belonged here. Never. It's just once high school started, that's when everything changed. And some people probably will never be able to accept what I did. And it doesn't bother me. You think what you want. You live your own life, you know? You're in control of what you do and how you feel, usually. Yeah, some things are predetermined and destined to happen, but you have your own opinions on things, and, you know, I did what I had to do. There wasn't any way around it. This is just the way I had to go. And as brutal as it may have been for people to witness, you know, who had to, you know, deal with my corpse, it's life. It's life. There's nothing that anyone could have done to prevent this. It was just destined to happen from the beginning. And in 2010, I could have easily tried taking my life back then, but I didn't. And it's crazy. 5 months. That's it. So
that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. 5 months. That's what he's saying, right? So that was April of 2017. This next one is also April of 2017. Shorter.
April 11th, and a few days ago, I got my baby. Check it out. This is a Mossberg 500 pump action 12 gauge shotgun, and it is going to be my ticket out of here, and I cannot fucking wait to use it. It's just been sitting here the last few days because I haven't been able to go out to, you know, test fire it yet, and the urge is like beyond imaginable right now. I really want to shoot this, but I gotta wait another few days before I can shoot it, so that's how it goes. But this thing is fucking awesome. When I think of a shotgun, this is what I think of. You know, short barrel, pretty much sawn off, pistol grip, you know. This thing is fucking beautiful. And just under 5 months, that'll be in my mouth and poof, gone. Just like that. Dead. Can't wait. So, Jin, you're gonna be barking like crazy when that happens, aren't you? You're not gonna know what's going on. So yeah, I've been thinking, like, trying to figure out how am I gonna do it? Do I do it standing up? Do I sit down here, put it between my legs? Because that's the biggest question: is how much kick does this gun have? And you know, I've been thinking of like doing the Eric Harris way, sitting down between the knees and poof, you know. But I won't know until I shoot it first. So I have no.
None of these videos were public, and I'm not going to say what happens in the end. If you stick around, you'll see what happens in the end. None of these were public. These were left for after what happens for people to have. These plus a ton more. Journals, videos to parents, voice recordings, you name it, he covered it.
No idea how much kick this thing has, and that's going to be the ultimate telltale sign of everything. So if it has a lot of kick, then obviously I'll probably be standing up. Who knows? But it's just under 5 months. Just under 5 months. That's it. And I'll be dead. It's unbelievable. I don't believe it. And I'm this close. I am this close to my baby. I'm this close. I almost can't get any closer to her and my queen. I'm that close. I'm so close. I had to get a new journal the other day too, because my other one, I only have like 4 pages left in the thing, and I started that back in like November, and that just slowly started becoming a daily thing, and I filled up the whole fucking thing. So 180 pages filled just like that. So I had to buy a second journal, and I imagine that will be full too in the end. So yeah, there's a lot to do for me here still before I can go. I gotta finish the massacre video. I've just been working on it a little bit at a time, you know. But this thing, I cannot wait to shoot this fucking thing. I mean, just look at this. Beautiful. Amazing. I mean, just imagine staring down the barrel of this thing, you know? Poof! You're gone. It's amazing. But don't ever be a fucking idiot and hold it up to your face like this, because you're gonna knock your fucking nose off and break it. Don't want that to happen to you. See, over here I got some ammunition, got slugs and buckshot, which wanted both, so didn't want birdshot. Birdshot's weak, you know. So yeah, I can't wait to use the fucking thing. It's gonna be awesome. I don't know if I'm even in focus. I can't see, but I'm this close. This close to my baby. Well, Ember was my baby. She's not my baby anymore. She's my queen. Mackenzie's my baby. Mackenzie, baby! Mackenzie is the fucking best of the rest. Mackenzie West, second guest, underrated, and one of the best. But she actually is the best. Mackenzie's the fucking best. She's the bomb. Mackenzie West is the best. I guess I'm second best. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy. That's all I can say. What more is there to say? Got under 5 months to live. 24 and a half years of life, and you only have 5 months left. That's assuming nothing else gets in my fucking way. Like, if something retarded happens, like with my job and I have to go to fucking day shift, then it's gonna be even sooner than that. Which hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, it wouldn't really bother me too much to be like, yeah, I get to go sooner, but September 7th is the date. That's it. September 7th. That's it. And spring just started. It's warming up. And before you know it, it'll be summer, and then I'll be counting down the days, and I can't tell anybody. You know, it's the saddest thing. People don't know this is the last 5 months they have to talk with me. I can't post that gun on social media either, because then that's gonna cause concern from just about anybody who hates me, probably. So I don't know. I'm not gonna post that gun anywhere, because then people get suspicious. Just want to show you the gun. It's been here for a few days, but I only took some pictures the day I got it. I didn't film anything with it yet. But, yeah. Less than 5 months. And then not long after, all this stuff will be gutted and stripped apart. There'll be blood all over the ceiling and probably on some of these posters. I don't know. I've been thinking about taking one down and just like sitting it next to me when I do it. You know, be as close to them as possible. And yeah, Mackenzie's my girl. She's just so fucking cute, dude. She talks to me too, all the time. She's always with me. Wherever I go, she's always with me, no matter what. And there isn't any other girl I'd rather spend eternity with than Mackenzie West, so she's helped ease the pressure of it all. It's the main thing. So she'll be by my side when I do it. And that night's gonna be, I don't even want to think about it right now, but so many thoughts will be going through my head. It's not even gonna be funny. But yeah, so I guess I'll end this. If only you people knew. If only you knew. In a way you do. I said the 7th was when all this stuff was going to be released, but you don't know that I'll be dead that night. So, just blows my mind. Every day just like seems more and more legit. Like, this is it. You know, it's very hard to explain. Like, I can't see past 2017. 2018 and beyond doesn't exist for me anymore. It's like, this is it. You know, like, every fucking day. Like, my whole perspective on life has changed. Like, nothing is the same anymore. And nothing matters. Nothing matters anymore. Nobody matters. I don't care about 99% of this fucking planet anymore. There's maybe, I say loosely, 10 people, if that I actually, like, can consider, like, a loose friend. Other than that, everyone else can just fucking die. And I wanted to fucking do a school shooting or something. I wanted to shoot up a supermarket. I wanted to do all that. But I knew full well it wouldn't happen. Something would go wrong. My gun would jam. I'd get taken out, disarmed, neutralized, etc. Somebody in that supermarket would have to have a fucking firearm on them. You know they would. And plus, with just me doing it, there's no fucking way I would kill more than, like, fucking 3 people. With just a shotgun? No. Not a chance. I would kill to take people down with me before I ended my life. But this was the biggest thing I thought about, and I paced for like 45 minutes thinking this over. If it was up to me, I would fucking shoot up a supermarket. But I wouldn't want to die in there. That's lame as fuck. I'd rather die surrounded by what I love and what loves me back. Does a supermarket love me back? No. Could I picture dying in one? Yeah. Do I want to? No. It's like no contest. But still, I would want to fucking kill some people along the way. Can I do that? I can't have both ways. I'd rather die surrounded by my girls. And that's just... I'm about 75% sure that's how it's gonna go. And I would kill to shoot up a supermarket. I would kill to just go in and shoot my boss. Even though I don't mind my boss, I just want to kill people. Doesn't matter who it is, except my parents, because I want them to fucking suffer. I want my dad to suffer. My mom's got to suffer a little bit for bringing me into this fucking world, but my dad's got to fucking suffer more than anybody else. My brother, partially. He's not the worst person alive. But if it were up to me, I would go to the fucking Dallas supermarket, plant bombs in there, shoot people up, just fucking shoot that place to fucking smithereens. But that's not gonna happen. Can't do it alone. And there's no fucking way it'll even happen. Can't do it. And that's just the thing. I wouldn't want the pressure of knowing, okay, there's cops coming. Tick, 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 tick. Gotta off yourself, I'd rather do it at my own rate, at my own pace, just behind these fucking four walls, in peace, quiet, solitude, surrounded by my girls. That's just how it's gotta be. And there's still a chance I could do that, but it's just the biggest thing is on night shift, there's no one that can stop you. I could walk in there at any given moment. One's a freebie no matter what. Brian, he'd be a fucking freebie. He'd be a gimme. Everyone after that's just fair game. But I can't see it happening. But in a way I could. Will it? Probably not. But just leave it up to fate.
Until next time, Andrew. Okay. April 25th. Let me just see what. All right. We start getting a little crazier here. This is a little crazier now. Okay? Oof.
Okay, so here's the deal. Got a 1983 quarter right here. You believe in fate? Here's the fate test. I'm gonna flip this 3 times, or the best out of 3 rather, and if it's heads, I'll do it here. If it's tails, supermarket. Let's go. Decided to do this outside. That way you get the maximum height possible on this flip. So let's just put this over here and make it so you can see. There we go. Best of 3. Here we go. I'm not gonna touch it. You will see it as I see it. If I can find it. There it is. That's the tails. See that? Clearly tails. So that's 1. I'm not gonna cut, I'm not gonna touch the tripod or the camera, only just to show you. That is it. There's gonna be no other cutting. That's 1 flip. Number 2. Looking at it. You as I will see it for the first time. It had to be, right? That's a heads. Ooh, 1 of each. Tension's building up. Gotta say. This is crazy. This is just crazy. Having this come down to the flip of a coin. Alright, number 3. That was a high one. Alright, don't lose it. Can't lose that coin. Here we go. Oh, it's a tails. That's tails. You can see it. The fucking exposure on this is going all sorts of wonky. Here. There we go. Now you can see it. Tails. Okay. So. You realize if I flip this next coin and it lands on tails, there's going to be devastation and destruction. Sure. Not cut off here. Okay. Here we go. Number 4. Way up there. And it over to the right. I gave that one my all. Where did it land? Trying to find it. Where did you land? You son of here. Heads. Had to be, huh? Have to have it come down to the very last coin flip. Oh my goddess. Oh, the suspense is here. All right. Sorry about that. I lost it for a second. Okay. This is it. For all the marbles. Except we're playing for like much more than marbles here. I can't believe I'm having this come down to a coin flip. The flip of a coin. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3. It's gonna land behind the camera, just to the side. I can't see it. I see it in the grass, but I can't see it. Tails. That is a tails, folks. Tails. Which means there's going to be a loss of a human life besides my own. Possibly more than one. That's fate for you. I didn't cut the camera at all. I didn't cheat. It rolled the entire time. I didn't go out on different days and do this and say, oh, you could have cheated because he did this multiple times, blah, blah, blah. I did this all legit and authentically. What else do you need me to say? I don't know if you could see me now, because it's different lighting. Hang on. Bring it back so you can see. There you go. Just don't roll it out of the way. A fucking coin flip. It's fate. It's destiny. I was originally just going to do it like just one big flip, and whatever it was going to be it. First one was tails anyway. That's great. I mean, either way, I could still change my mind about it, but I'm not going against the flip of the coin. I'm going to do it. I'm not tempting fate. I'm just going with it. Unreal. Unfucking real. That's fucking fate.
So, that's fate. And he starts planning. It is rough. It's really rough.
It. 2 Mossberg 500 shotguns. Fucking got it. It's on the back seat back there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it, but fucking got it. 2. I now have 2. 2 pump action 12 gauge shotgun Mossberg 500s. This one's 18.5 inches on the barrel. The other one was 20. 20.5. One of the two. I don't know. But I fucking got it. I fucking got it. And I can't believe it. I have all the pieces. I have all the pieces. I have everything I need. And the way I see it, just 4 weeks left. That's assuming nothing else happens. It's all just down to fate now. The way things are going at work, it's all unpredictable as to what could happen. Part of me thought it could have been 2 weeks from now because one of my the managers on the day shift, I'm on night shift, but one of the managers on the day shift put in his 2-week notice, and my boss has been trying to get on day shift or second shift forever, and he had an opportunity to get it, but the way things are looking, he's not going to get it. So then also put me like on the clock here because it's like he's been trying to look for other places to work, you know, try to get off a night shift and just find another job. And the way I see it, I can just barely have enough time to do all this within 4 weeks. I thought it could have been 2 weeks from now, maybe, if that, but it's either going to be 4 weeks from now or 6. It depends when he takes the vacation, because my vacation, it looks like it's going to be June 11th through the 18th. I think, like, that week, you know. And he could take that the week before, for all I know, which would suck, because that's when I want to do this. But if so, so what? I'll just have to wait an extra couple weeks. It's no big deal. But I want it to be the night of June 9th. That's my goal. That's my plan. If not the 9th, then the 24th. Or yeah. 25th. I don't know. It's a Friday. Whatever. I don't know what dates are coming up right now, but yeah. Now, the fact of the matter of everything else is I gotta hide this shotgun for the next month. Which shouldn't be too hard. I'm gonna keep it in my trunk until maybe tomorrow afternoon or Monday, when I know for a fact I'll be home alone. I can bring it in and get rid of the box and everything. I really gotta keep this low key. I can't tell my parents that I have 2 shotguns now. They know I have the one, but then if they see that I have the exact same gun, but 2 inches shorter on the barrel, it'd be like, why do you need that? And then that's when it starts to get into like personal stuff, like, why do you need 2 shotguns? You're scaring me. Please don't start buying more guns, you know. Don't do this, you know. So yeah, I need to keep it under wraps, and it shouldn't be too big of a problem. I got all kinds of hiding places I could put it in, so if I really had to, I could just keep it in the trunk the whole time. No one's ever gonna check my trunk. So yeah, this close. I'm that close. I can't get any closer. I've said that a million times by now, but I cannot get any closer. This is it. It's the final stretch. I have all the pieces. I'm just waiting on getting some eyeliner that's already shipped. And I ordered more ammunition, obviously, but this is it. Can't believe it. I hope this audio is okay. I don't normally like ever record in the car, especially when I'm going on a highway and about to go over rumble strips. So out in this area is where I used to go to college. The gun shop was like 2.5 miles from the campus. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I can't believe how easy it is to get firearms. It is insanely easy. As long as you don't have a record, you know, if you don't have a criminal background, you know, or any run-in with the law or anything of that sort, you know, and you're a legal immigrant and all that, you can just order online and pick it up at a dealership. It's that fucking easy. Within a month, I got 2 shotguns. 2 shotguns in a month. For what, $700? $900, if that. Insanely easy. Insanely easy. The ammunition adds up, but who gives a fuck? Got nothing to lose now. Spend as much money as I need to. I mean, if I really had to, I could do this fucking Monday night if I wanted. Pretty much. But I gotta take care of a few other things first. I gotta remake the intro for the final video. Reanimate it, update it with the newer models, you know. Update Mackenzie a little. Completely changed mine and Sydney, so I got 2 shots pretty much done for that. But, you know, I just gotta update like 5 shots and that will be done. More like 6. But and then it's just like, I don't know, 8 more of the massacre shots, and it's, you know, that portion's done. I'm not going to be able to finish it all. It's just too much work. And the better, like, the sooner I do this, the better. I don't want to keep, like, I don't want to, like, post something wrong on social media without, like, intending it to be wrong and people, like, take it as a threat or some sort. And, you know, you gotta watch what you post on the internet. I've only told 2 people about my shotgun. I told Point Baron and I told Rachel. That was the only 2 people. Rachel because she was getting into guns. I'm like, well, I guess I got a shotgun not too long ago, you know. But she has no idea what I'm gonna do with it, you know. So yeah, I'm not gonna tell anybody else. That's just it, because if I start telling people, then they realize what I'm posting about and saying, you know, it's like the final countdown or the final stretch, or as big things are coming in this next month. You know, people are gonna start thinking that I'm threatening people, and you don't need that. Nobody needs that to happen to them. So far, it's been okay. I've gotten an occasional, like, why are you obsessed with this Columbine shit? But other than that, virtually nothing. It's just, I don't think people would actually, like, think I would actually consider doing something like this. And granted, it's only, like, 1 person, but, you know, it's still gonna be, like, earth-shattering to people in Tunkhannock, you know. I live in Dallas, but to think, like, something like that could happen here, it's like, yeah, it could. Totally could. You're welcome. So, a few weeks to live. Few weeks to live. How many people get to say that in their life? Or being 24 and a half saying, I got a few weeks to live and I'm gonna be dead. It's crazy. And as more time goes by, the more, like, routine it feels. I don't feel as nervous about it as I once was. Like, now I just, like, accept that it is fate and this is how it's gonna be, and I accept that. This is how it ends. And I just desensitize myself to it in a way. Also mainly just because I've gotten the firearm already. This is the second one. You know, I've worked with it. I know how it works. I know what to expect. And, you know, it'll just be so fast. I'll have, like, 5 minutes, the way I see it. For all I know, I could have the rest of the fucking night, but I'll never know. Unless, like, the floor guy got, like, a call out to 911 or something. But that's just it. It all comes down to his hands of what happens, really. I mean, I don't think the police can see on, like I don't think, like, people who run the security companies can see the store cameras, like, what goes down. It's like, how many fucking places do you have your cameras in? You can't just know. It's just me, Brian, and the floor guy. More likely than not. Granted, it could end up being the new girl. We just got 2, but like I said, the schedule's unpredictable anymore. Mine has never ever changed until this year. Like, we started fucking changing the schedules around, and it's pissed me off. But it's just whatever it is, it is. Personally, I don't really mind if it's more than one person on with me. It's just, you know, you don't have a lot of time. If it's just Brian and the floor guy and I pop them too, like if I pop the both of them, then you know there's nobody else in there that's gonna call the fucking police on you. That's just the biggest thing. Like on a Wednesday night, there's 2 other people there, and they're easy targets. They're big fucking girls, but you know, that's an insta call out to 911, and it doesn't matter. But it only takes them like 2 minutes to get there, you know, and then they're in, you know. Then, you know, it's all about time. I gotta do it fast no matter what, but it's just, I want to make fucking damage, not just pop a guy or girl and then just immediately have to off myself from it. That'd be really lame. You know, you want to make your mark. So yeah, it's a lot to think about, but it'll just happen like that. You know, you have like no time to react to everything. You just do it. I've run the scenario through my head like at least like 50 times, and it's virtually never changed. So I don't know. We'll see. I want it to be June 9th. It's better to have a date in your head, or rather, you know, the ballpark range of when you want to do this. So the main thing is, I hope it's the 4 weeks. That way I get like everything I want onto the death box set, and it's there. Not have to like run out of time and then just put the very, very, very essential shit on the internet and just go. You know, I want everything on there that I need. Like everything that's like relevant. I mean, I can't get every single video I ever made on there. That's impossible. That'd take way too long. And they're on YouTube anyway. My account's not gonna go away just because I died. It'll still be there. It'll be there until YouTube shuts down, pretty much. I can tell you one thing, if anything ever does happen to my account, I will fucking haunt the shit out of whoever fucking tampers with it. You got my word on that. So, yeah, we'll see. We're driving slow as fuck, which, what else is new? But, yeah, sorry if the camera's like moving all over the place. I'm trying to like drive and do this at the same time. Typically, you're supposed to record like this, which I'm an idiot because I never remember to do it. Sorry. Don't judge me. Who gives a fuck? It's on video. It just happened and it's on video. What more do you want? Yeah. I personally hate when people vlog like this. But that's just the way it is. You don't think. Sometimes when you do this, you just hold the camera up and you just do it. Like, I didn't really think to hold it like this. Yeah. Boo fucking who? I didn't hold the camera properly. Rather, the phone properly. It's a phone. It's a fucking phone that has a camera in it. Whatever. Alright. I guess I should end this. Mainly just because I don't want to talk and drive like this. It's not safe, so. Yeah, got 2 shotguns now, bitch. 2 shotguns! Suck it.
It's very strange how he thinks somebody's going to say something to him that nobody ends up saying. It's just, maybe he was very difficult to take criticism, I think. That's what I feel like anyway. This one is called The Plan.
What's up? It's empty. She's empty. Mackenzie's empty, unfortunately. So yeah. How about it? How about it? Mwah. Mwah. Mackenzie, Rachel. Meet the twins. But they're in fact totally polar opposite. The shotguns are the same, but who they're based on are total polar opposite souls. The way I see it, Mackenzie's going to be the one doing most of the damage. Mackenzie's the 18.5-inch barrel one, which is this one. It's just a little bit shorter than Rachel, which is a 20-inch barrel. Other than that, they're virtually the same gun. The magazine tube,
is a little shorter, but you can still fit a shit ton of ammunition in there. The first time I took it up shooting, I can only fit 2 in there. I'm like, it's a shorter magazine, and then the tape stopped. It stopped recording, so you didn't get to hear what else I was going to say. What happens is, when you buy these, pretty much anywhere, there's a freaking rod in here that prevents you from putting in ammunition, so you can only fit like 2 in there. And when you take it out, you can fit like 4 or 5. So, I completely forgot to remove that when I went out with this for the first time, so unfortunately I was only able to put 2 or 3 in at a time, and you know, bam, boom, reload. You know, that's really lame. So I eventually unscrewed this, took the barrel off, took out the rod and everything, and yeah. So Mackenzie is by far my favorite one. I loved Rachel too, but this one I loved just because it's shorter. It's a little bit more powerful, you know, kicks a little bit harder too, but this is the gun I feel that is going to be the one doing most of the work and also finishing me off. Rachel, it's kind of funny, I envisioned that being just the one and only gun because that was before I like even knew I was going to do this, you know. So then I'm like, well, I need to have a second one as a backup, because the thing is, when you do something like this, here's a little tip from me. Have a backup shotgun or a secondary weapon. Doesn't matter what. As long as it can fucking kill somebody, have a backup. Because there'd be no worse thing in the world than having something break on you with a gun and you have no way to off yourself. Okay? Let's just say for some fucking reason I shoot and my barrel implodes, or I pump it and it gets jammed for some reason. I can't pop the shell out of the side. Let's say this breaks off, like the pump breaks off or something in the trigger breaks, or you never know. Anything can happen at any given moment. So, my advice is, have a backup. Need I say more? So, yeah. I love both of them though. They're both spectacular shotguns. They're both the same exact shotgun, just one's shorter. But either way, I love Mackenzie. I had to switch the names, unfortunately, because I named that one Mackenzie when I first got it, but that was before I realized I was going to get another one, and then it made sense because Rachel would have a bigger gun. You know, Rachel's like a big, macho, devilish, evil soul, and she'd have the big gun, and, you know, it just suits her better. So, now Rachel will most likely just be on my back the entire time. Its main purpose is just in case something goes wrong with Mackenzie's gun, or I need it for longer range. Like, say I want to shoot a slug at the floor guy's propane tank or something. This would be a better option because the barrel's longer. But mainly it's just a backup. Because when I got this one, I just named it Mackenzie because I'm like, well, this is the only gun I'm ever going to have in my life, so I'll call it Mackenzie. And then when I decided to do what I'm gonna like fucking do, it's like, alright, I'm gonna change the name. So yeah, it just looks like a Rachel. I don't know. That one's Mackenzie. But yeah, obviously they're named after Mackenzie West and Rachel Shadows. So on the side I have engraved EGS on both of them, and then I have Rachel and I have Mackenzie scratched into the side. So these names are never going to be viewed the same way again after this happens. I can assure you that. Now here's one thing I want to talk about. See this? In here is propane. In our supermarket, we have canisters like this. This is exactly where I got it from. This is the exact thing I'm talking about. We have about, like, I'd say 15 or 20 on a shelf. One of my new plans is to scoop these into a shopping cart and then shoot at it with the gas canister next to it, filled with gas. Picture it as like a little mini propane bomb, just to do some damage. I'm not going to hit anybody with it, but just to do some fucking damage to the building. That's the main purpose of that. I got to test shoot it first and see like what it does. Mainly because it feels like it's only like filled up to here. So shooting this with like a slug or something, I just want to see how big of an explosion it is, just to see what it does. And then we'll see. So now, in terms of how this is going to go down, let me tell you, thought of some new things, and some of them are actually really, really clever. Here's the plan. Wednesday, June 7th, 2017, 1 o'clock, we go out for break. That's how it always goes every night. It's always 1 o'clock, or like 1:03, 1:05, ballpark area. So here's what's going to happen. Brian's going to come up to me and say, break. He goes outside. That's how it always goes. I follow him not long after, usually a minute or two, because I always grab snacks to buy, to gnaw on and stuff. You know, here's what's going to happen. When he goes out, I'm going to block the emergency exits. I'm going to get pallets. I'm going to put them in front of the doors. In the back room, there are at least 4 or 5 emergency exits. There's one all the way at the other end of the facility in the back room by the back manager's office. That one I'm actually going to block when he goes to lock the store up at 11 o'clock. So that one will just be taken care of instantly. He's not going to go down there looking for other stuff, because I'll have all the stuff we're going to need for the stock and shit already down here. So there'll be no reason he'll ever need to go down that side of the facility. So that'll be taken care of. And about, I'd say like 60 feet beyond that, there's an emergency exit here. And about 20 feet down, there's another one here. And then you got the receiving door. So you got all these doors, boom, 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 to block with pallets. And it's totally doable. You know, it takes 2.5 minutes, if that. So those are the big 3 on this half. Once you get towards like the center of the store in the back room, there's the produce section, which is the last set of double doors. And that's the last set of doors to get outside from the back room. So that's one that's kind of up for debate. I don't know if I'm going to be able to block those or not. If not, no big deal. Because besides that, straight down the hallway is the meat department, and it's a dead end. You can't go anywhere else. So the last set of double doors were the ones I was picturing from the beginning, which is next to the bakery section. There's a pair of double doors that's an emergency exit, and all these exits, they're all alarmed exits, okay? So I'm thinking, like, how in the fuck can I block this exit? There's like no way in hell. There's nothing I can do. You can't put a pallet there. Like, by the time he comes back in, I'll be like, what the hell is a pallet doing here? Because he has to come back in before. All right, see, what did I tell you? The camera stopped. Big surprise. As I was saying, Brian is going to be coming in before me. He'll be going back inside first. So I can't put pallets in front of these doors, because he'll be like, why the hell are there pallets out here in front of these doors? That makes no sense. So that option was just completely out of the question. I couldn't do that. So I'm thinking, how the fuck am I going to block these doors? I'm not going to be able to. I'm just going to have to pop the 2 of them and then just hope to goddess I can get over to him before he runs out that exit. And I'm out on my break the other night. Not last night, but the night before. I'm just sitting in my car, and I just happened to look over at the doors, and then I just got this idea that just hit me like a fucking train. I could put my car up into those doors. It's on the sidewalk, and there's pillars next to it. But you have enough space to fit your car up there. You could fit it like this, or you can T-bone the doors. And I was like, holy shit, that is the greatest idea I've ever had. And the way I see it is driving up and T-boning it would be the best option, because like no matter what, as long as you have like this much space between your car and the doors, you won't be able to open those doors and get out. It won't budge. So we'll see. It should be wide enough. If not, I could still fit it like this, but obviously like the mirror like protrudes out, and I'd be afraid like I wouldn't be able to fit it properly. But I just want to be careful, because I feel like if I hit the doors with just that little bit of force, you can trip the alarm, because these are all alarmed exits. So that was crucial. That idea just changed everything. So here's what's going to happen. Brian will go back inside. I'll go back inside as I normally would and then just see where everybody's at. I know he'll be down in aisles 1 through 7, anywhere in that area.
So this is what the place looked like that he worked in. Terrible haircuts. Side-eyeing. Haven't seen you in forever! I don't know. I haven't seen you guys forever either. I'm like, do they even come around anymore? Where are they? I wasn't going live a lot either, though. So there is, these are all the doors that he's talking about. This is his car that blocked one of the doors. It's the back door where the break room is. Front door. Kitty, stop. What are you doing? Oh my goodness, you're crazy. Stop. I just wanted to show you guys that so that you could. Yes, this is his real job. Yes, this is his real job. He works the night shift, so his parents are at work during the day. So he just planned all of this, and it's crazy. Back door, receiving door, emergency doors, bakery, main entrance over here, emergency exit near the manager's office that I'll talk about, Brian. It gets pretty crazy. Yeah, he's planning all this while they're, unaware. I think, I want to say maybe the next ones are to his parents, and they're, oh my God, it's crazy town, the next ones.
Yeah. Victoria and Kristen, it's completely like, it's a wild card guess of where they're going to be. And what I've come to realize is when we go out on break and come back in, they're on break too. So somewhere in the area of 1 o'clock through like 1:15, they take a break. This was the crushing blow of it all because I envisioned just coming back in and then just going off and killing everybody, but can't do that because they'll be in the back room somewhere, and obviously I want this to be on the surveillance camera so you can see it. And what's going to have to happen is I'll just go back to where I was working and give it like 10 minutes or so, go back down that end, see where they're at, go back outside, gear up, drive the car up to the doors. I'm already geared up and everything. Waltz in, lock the door, set the alarm, and then lock the big pair of double doors in the vestibule that leads you into the store. So the way it's set up is like any old supermarket is. You got the entrance, which has the 2 doors. One comes in, one goes out on both sides. But obviously to get into the building, there's this big wide pair of double doors. They open and close automatically and whatever, but you can turn those off and you can lock it up. So I'll do that, I'll lock it. That's just gonna have to do it. There's nothing else I can do with that. Doors are so wide, you can't block them. And then just find Victoria and Kristen, pow. And the rest is up to fate. Because the way I see it is, if Brian was gonna run out of here, he's either gonna take 2 paths. He can either go the path to the produce exit, or he can take the path by the bakery, which is, the bakery exit is technically the closest. And depending where he is, usually by break, or a little bit after, he's still in aisle 1, because aisle 1 is the vegetables and the microwave meals and all that, mac and cheese, and you get a shitload of order for that aisle, and he's had to do it by himself. And that can take him till sometimes like almost 2 o'clock. So he may very well still be in there. The only problem is it's up for debate whether or not he'll be going back and forth, taking his empty boxes to the back room and cleaning up. So it's really just destiny. You can't predict everything. But if you wanted to, the safest option by far would be to go through the meat department doors and go out through the back, because he'll know I'm out on the floor. So obviously you don't want to go that way. And obviously going out through the bakery, you're out in the open and you're exposed. So the way I see it is the smartest thing would be for him to go through the meat department, down the back hall, and then out the produce stores. But that goes back to me saying I wanted to block that, because if I don't, then he's out.
So all of this is just planning. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Initially, Andrew planned on just killing himself. Said that was something, and I keep saying him because I'm looking at him, even though after passing, people insist that he wanted to be known as she or her, but right now, still at this point, he's Andrew. So those coming in, the pictures behind him, he took a character that was created by a guy named Butch, who created Fairly Odd Parents, that cartoon. And he said the first time he saw it, he thought that was his soulmate, like his other half. And he created this band of women around that character. He fell in love with one of the characters, and he thinks he and Ember, the character created from the Butch guy, are like soul tied together. They're the same being. He thinks when he dies, he gets to be united with them. He's holding that because he's going to commit suicide at some point. Now, this progresses for years. It starts years back. He's a YouTuber. He makes friends with a couple of YouTubers, but he's also a perfectionist. So when they're not doing things the way that he wants, he doesn't really know how to deal with it. So there's an issue there. But he says that, for many, many years, he knew that he wasn't of this world. He didn't want to be here. In the beginning of all of it, there wasn't like a mental illness. It was just very matter of fact. I just don't want to be here. That's it, simple. So watching the progression of what happens to the mind is shocking in this. It really is hard to watch and understand that this little face, I mean, he's 24 here, but was just a kid who, was into his computer, into things that all our kids are into, and something snapped in there. So how he ended up getting to the point of wanting to hurt other people was, I guess, through his job, even though he likes these people. So that's even crazier. He likes them. So yeah, this is 2017, but I have heard about the AI stuff. And it's rough. People are making friends with the AI, not on just that silly level like, oh, me and my best buddy ChatGPT. No, they mean it, and they're having full-blown conversations because your AI remembers you. So I think that's weird for people. So when they come back and it says, hey, Tracy, I'm not thinking, oh, it loves me. No, I'm just thinking, okay, it asked when I signed up what my name was. My name's Tracy. So there you go. So he just goes through more of, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But that's it for this one, really. He's just saying what he's going to do. This one here. All right, 1 second. Hold on. This one is absolutely, this is May 26th, okay, 2017. So that's why I have the advisory up there. It's a lot of mental health, just, you know, I think he's the kind of kid too, or the kind of person who once something takes over his mind, it completely encompasses his mind. And that's what's happened. So he had no intentions on killing anybody else. And then once the idea came across his lips, it then turned into, all right, well, I'm going to do a coin flip. And if the coin lands on heads, I'm just going to do myself at home. But if it lands on tails, then I'm going to go to my workplace and whatever happens, happens. And it's so, now it's encompassed his whole, everything that he thinks about, talks about, and does. So here we go.
What's up? Today is Friday, May 26th. Today sucked. Just did not have any energy to do anything. Hopefully you can hear me over the car. I don't know what this is going to sound like, but big fucking whoop. I went shooting about an hour ago, and it's crazy how bored I am of it now. Like, at first it was like it was amazing. I was shooting stuff and blowing stuff up and everything. And now it's like I'm desensitized to it all. I'm bored of it all. I'm ready to take it up to the next level. And in 2 weeks I will. But fucking bug, get out of here. Yeah. It's just crazy how bored I am of it. And I have enough ammunition if I wanted to wait until the night of. I have enough ammunition to wait. I just bought some more slugs for the hell of it. Not that I'm going to really be using them anyways that night. It's going to be all buckshot. Slugs, I'm a lousy shot with slugs, and the main thing is you have less room for error with slugs. It's one solid bullet that's going to fly out of the gun. With buckshot, depends which kind you get, but the one I have is 00 buckshot, which has there's 9 pellets in it, so you have 9 penetration holes. Obviously you have a better chance of hitting something with that, as opposed to just one. So, yeah, it's going to be all buckshot that night. Except for maybe if I'm shooting at the propane or something. Which I looked at my shed. We have 2 big propane canisters in there. If I wanted, I could take it that night. Just go out back and get it. No one would see it. So that's always a possibility. They're not completely filled, but either way. So, just driving around. It's what I do when I want to think. I always drive. Sometimes I don't even have music on. I just drive. Clear my head. Comes in handy. It's so crazy to think 12 more nights, that's it, and I'm dead. 12 nights to live. What do you do with the last 12 days of your life? What do you do? I don't know. It was to the point today where I didn't even touch the massacre video at all. I didn't do anything. My body physically did not want to do anything today, and it blowed. I just sat at my computer desk and I almost fell asleep. After sleeping for 10 hours, I almost fell asleep. And then I did. I took an hour nap. It's unreal how weak my body is right now. I can't do it anymore. I can't. With a full-time job on top of it, I can't do this anymore. It's awful. I never get any sleep, and even when I do, I still feel like shit. I slept for 10 hours, then tacked on another hour after that. Still feel like shit. So I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't give a fuck. If there's holes in the video, or if there's just animatic shots in there in place of what was gonna be a shot, what the fuck ever. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. My body is giving up. That's it. It's over. My YouTube career is over. My life's over. It's all over. Everything. Now it's just the waiting game. I'm just on borrowed time. That's it. If I really wanted to, I can go in tonight and pop Brian off if I wanted, but it's just him and Terry there. There's no point. I'm gonna get the other 2. It's gotta be Wednesday. That's the way it is. Plus, I don't have Laura's lines yet for the opening anyway, so. I think what I'm just gonna do is over the next week, just keep digging through stuff and see what I can find and upload what I can to the MediaFire page and, you know, animate when I feel like it, which is going to be never. I don't feel like doing it anymore. The mental strain from it all, I can't even explain it. It's really hard to explain. Like, and it's crazy because you're not physically doing anything like exercising wise except like your head. You're just thinking, but even then, it's like I'm just mentally fucking physically exhausted today. And I just looked at the video and it's like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. And it sucks. It really sucks. It sucks ass. That's what I like to do. If it was like on film, that'd be another story. That'd be easy. Animation, whole other ball game. You know, messes with your head. It really does. Animation drives you crazy. It seriously does. So if the subtlest thing is off, it throws the whole shot out of whack. You know, it's a game of patience. Yeah, there's skill involved, but I made stuff that it's like, wow, that actually looks really nice, and it doesn't look like there's like any effort at all put into it, but at the same time, it looks like it was like a lot of effort put into it. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm satisfied with it for the most part. It could always be better, but the perfectionist in me is just, it's dying for YouTube. I don't fucking care anymore. It doesn't have to be a whole steak. I'll never forget, someone told me that. You know, you don't need to give us a whole steak every time. This was meant to be a smorgasbord. This was meant to be amazing, and yet I had to do everything, which fucking animators can kiss my ass for that. And Laura was nice enough to offer to look around, see if she can find people who do commissions for it in her groups and stuff to animate. And I'm like, save your breath, because I used the money I had for it. I used all the money on ammunition. I could still afford to do it, but the way it is now, this late in the game, I can't rely on people to get that done within 10 days, you know, with that short of a notice. That's not gonna happen. There's no way. Because that was the whole point, was to do this back in fucking January, February, March, to get it all out of the way, get everyone on board with what I'm doing, and, you know, you have all that time to work on it and adjust everything as needed. Now it's like, well, I'd have 10 days. That's not happening. There's no way. And for all I know, it could look like total shit. You never know. So, I'm not even bothering. I have enough to do as it is. I'm not even bothering. The animators can fucking screw themselves. I don't know, dude. Just done. I'm done. I don't know what else you want me to say. Every day just gets harder. Every day, just more and more thoughts race through my head. Like, not bad thoughts or anything. Like, it's like my mind is like a never-ending train trekking down a fucking track of endless, like, madness. And it never stops. It's just gotten worse every year. Like, song lyrics never stop playing in my head, people singing in my head, me thinking about quotes from movies or TV shows and thinking about this and saying, I don't fucking care, a million fucking times in my head. I don't care. Nobody cares. I don't fucking care. I don't care. It never fucking stops. And it goes on forever. Especially when I'm trying to fall asleep, too. That sucks ass. It really sucks ass. Ugh. You have no idea. It's as if I have ADD, but I don't. I was never diagnosed with ADD. My brother kind of has like that or OCD. I have a little OCD, which who doesn't? Everybody does. But this is just a never-ending nightmare. And time has gone so slow, it's not even funny. Except when I'm home. When I'm at work, it drags like a motherfucker. When I'm at home, oh look, it's noon already. What am I gonna eat for dinner? Oh, by the time I get that and come back, I'm not gonna want to do anything else. Well, then I won't be working on the video either. Fuck. It's 12 o'clock now. It's literally noon right now. I just looked at the clock. That's pretty funny. Just wanting to post on social media about the shotguns and everything, and I can't. I could, but it's not smart. The biggest problem I'm facing right now is that night itself, and not the fact of what I'm about to do, but the fact of the video itself is making me nervous, because God forbid that video gets flagged or reported, you know? I have no way of appealing it or reversing that, you know? That's, you're screwed. There's nothing I can do, because I'll be dead.
What he's saying right now is the videos that he's creating, he knows that if he uploads them right before he passes, they're going to get flagged for violence. And that can't happen right? So he ends up coming up with a brand new plan, which was kind of genius because it left it for other people to get them and put them on websites instead, where somebody couldn't flag him on YouTube and take it down. So that was a huge concern. Like, well, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do because somebody's going to flag it and then I'm not going to have it anymore because I'm going to be dead. And so all of this stuff was always going through Andrew's head. Like things there's no control over any of it. But yeah, for a long time it was put into his animation and the filmmaking, and they were good enough. I just don't know that, like you guys said above, did anybody tell him it was good enough? When he gets to the parents, you'll just hear his side of the equation,
So it's like I've been trying to plan when I'm going to release it because I want to do it in the general ballpark area of when I'm going to do it, But not like anything would happen within like a few hours anyways, but, it's a morbid video. And it just has me uneasy about posting it too early. It's like, I thought I could have posted it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and by the time I got up, I didn't know if it got reported or not, but I wanted to go up at around 9, which is when I get up. So I want to schedule release it. It's going to be a huge fucking file, too. So the other thing is, I'm up against the clock as it is, but the other thing is, this is going to be like a 2 gigabyte file when I upload it to YouTube. It's going to be a half-hour long video, pretty much, because I got all this stuff to cram into it. At least that's what it's looking like, anyways. The timeline's all broken up into sections, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a 25-minute video. And that's 1080p. It's huge. It's humongous. So, I could always just do 720. It doesn't fucking matter in the end. You'll have the digital file anyway. But, yeah, it just has me uneasy because if that gets reported, then you're screwed. That's just the biggest problem right now. Fortunately, I don't think Victoria watches that channel. Fortunately, I told her about it. I showed her the first EGS video, the Finding a Purpose video. I think I sent it to her on Facebook last year, but I don't have her on Facebook anymore, and I doubt she has a YouTube channel and subscribed to it, so she'll be working anyway. She shouldn't see that. Even so, unless she watched it on break, but yeah, crazy, huh? And then you're gonna be dead in a couple hours. So yeah, there's just so much shit that's gonna go down in those final 6 hours. It's gonna be insane. I need to get my ass in gear and keep writing those emails because I don't have enough written yet. Yeah, Damien's written, Laura Faverty's, James. That was it. Oh, Andrew Blank, that was the other one. Shows you how much I remember him. Worthless fucker. Goddamn fucking cunt-ass bitch. Probably wondering, where am I driving to? Anywhere. Just driving anywhere. It's kind of funny, you can't see under my chin for once. Sorry. This is the only good place to put it, so I don't have to hold it. And see, I put it long ways this time. You happy? Better be. I hate that shit too, when people vlog like this with it like straight up. You don't think about that until after the fact. It's like, oh fuck, I can't hold the phone right. So yeah. So, fuck. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. But yeah, this is honestly what I do. Honestly what I do. This is honestly what I do. I just drive around and clear my head. And it helps. It always does. Sometimes I can drive for hours, like 2 hours. It's happened. I just drive around my neighborhood. And it's a suburban area, you got all these back roads and areas to go, so I usually just drive around the fucking county, anywhere I want. Also just thinking like, hey, this could be the last time I'm going to be going down here, So, I'm so ready. Been ready for so long. I'm 99% of the way there. I just need to get everything in order now because this is it. This is the final home stretch, I have to have everything prepared, everything ready, everything I need to say out of the way.